Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making video. We're going to be using the new Decorative Trees bundle today. So as you might imagine, there are Christmas trees on this. Nice outline, the branches in the stamp set, loads of things to decorate the tree with, and some background texture and things like that, which is lovely. And we have some lovely sentiments. This one fits in the tree, which is cool. Obviously you can use it by itself as well. So really super cute, and the dies are great that go with it as well. So you get loads and loads of dies, and you've got all these little decorative elements. So this one's like a sort of swirl. This one is holly. Got this lovely decorative sort of filigree thing, little bows and a star. I think those are supposed to be for the tree trunk and sort of tinsely things. And then you've also got these larger inlays, so those ones are a small tree, and these are the bigger ones with like this stripe effect, the dots, and almost like a plaid, which is really great. So and then what have I got out here? So, and then the other two that are missing are, which I'm not actually going to use because I've already done some die cutting ahead of time. This one's got snowflakes on it. Okay, so that's a decorative little bit there, and then you've got the outline die as well. Okay, so what you may see is that, let me just pull out these two so that I can show you. I've used this sort of swirly decorative bit here, but you have to be able to cut out the background tree, and the only background tree you've got is this large one. Okay, but actually all you need to do is cut off that bottom section. Okay, so that's what we have done there. Die cut it, but actually trimmed away that excess. Well, what I did was I overhung it actually, so I didn't die cut and waste the card. Okay, and then that fits over that portion of that die. Okay, so it's like a 2-for-1 die, this outline one. Okay, so that's how that works, in case you're thinking that there might be a die missing if you were to have this set. Okay, if you look carefully, it is pictured in the catalogue as being used in that fashion, but it isn't easy to see if you're not looking for it. So our combo is we've got some basic beige layered with garden green, and we've got some old olive and shaded spruce on the trees, decorated with these lovely red baubles, which I think were real red in the end. And then I've used some gold embossing powder for the sentiment and brought that gold through in the background with this lovely trim that we've got. Okay, so really nice. My sort of simple layout that I always use, or as I always use, I use a lot. Okay, I like this formula, if you like, for cards. Okay, so if you want to sort of take some of the thinking out of your card making, you know, come up if you've got some nice go-to formulas. Okay, so basically I've got a little pot here on the side of my desk. That's some very vanilla, so that should be at the back there. And I actually sort of pre-cut a whole heap of layers in these sizes. So this one's going to be what I call a mini layer. This is an inch shorter and narrower than it should be, so it's 3 by 4 3 4 3/4. Okay, also got some cut, so I already cut down some black as well, which is the corresponding mat for that. So I've got a whole stack of these all ready to go. Okay, so that's the layer there, and I'm going to bring in a white card base. So again, I cut 2 card bases at a time from one sheet of cardstock, and I might sit and cut 5 pieces, which means I've got 10 card bases ready to go. Okay, most of them are white, got a couple in other colours as well. So yeah, so that's the mini layer, and I just need a mat to go with that. So I'm going to be using different colours for the trees. I'm going to go for a nice sort of frosty look. So I want a nice colour to set those off, and I think I might go with Misty Moonlight. So again, I've got boxes and scraps and things like that. So in this box, I wonder if I've got any Misty Moonlight, because I've got a plethora of neutrals cardstock. So let me just, I buy a lot of the neutrals, so I keep it almost in a dedicated bit. Okay, so there's no larger pieces of Misty Moonlight in that section. So let's have a look through my smaller scraps, neutrals. This is where all the little doodads go. Because so I always go to the scraps first to see whether there's something I can use. But in this case there isn't, so we'll go and get a piece. And I'll show you what else I do with that as well. Find the right drawer. Oops, a daisy, making everything go crash. Okay. So, oh, that's Night of Navy. Bear with me. There it is. Misty Moonlight is a dustier colour than the Night of Navy. Ooh. Right, put that away in a minute. So, another little bit of a tip for you as well. Right, so coloured card bases I do use from time to time. Okay, so rather than just hack into this, I have that in mind that I'm going to either cut this down into layers or card bases. So this is going to go into a layer obviously, but I'm going to conserve as much as possible. So I'm actually going to cut that at 4 1/8 of an inch, which means that that piece could turn into a card base if I need it, or I can use it for other layers. Okay, but I'm not going to score it because, you know, I might not use it as a card base, but that is going to make that offcut, if you like, useful. Okay, rather than having little niff-naffy crappy things that are all over the place. So this needs to layer around my 4 3/4 panel. So 4 3/4 there, so that's how much that is. Okay, so I know it's 4 3/4, so if you shuffle that along to the left by 1/8 of an inch, that takes you to 4 7/8 of an inch. Whoops, daisy, sorry. Okay, and again I've got a nice big piece there that I can either cut down into another full card panel or use for something else. Okay, alright, so another good size piece. And then the width of my panel is 3, so I'm going to shuffle that along to the left by 1/8 of an inch, which is actually 2 little marks. Little 1, 2 to 3 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to cut that down. And then you just end up with this bit, which again is quite a nice sentiment sort of strip. Okay, I'm tempted to leave that out, so to see whether I can die cut my sentiment on that. I could emboss in silver and use this for the sentiment, so I'm going to hold on to that just for a second. But this should now fit around my white cardstock layer beautifully, which it does. Okay, let's adhere this together, and then we're going to wrap some of that metallic trim round. So instead of the gold, we're going to go with the silver. It comes in a combo pack of 2, so you get both, which is awesome. And of course metallics are great at Christmas time. Okay, just going to bring in just some sticky tape to help with this. Okay, and we'll start this off somewhere around here. I don't really like to do a lot of thinking about measuring and stuff like that, so okay, so we're going to wrap this round 3 times so that we end up with this nice a little feature in the background. Okay, and that last bit, let's just grab a block to hold that there for a sec. We can tape down like so. Cut off your excess, you get loads on a roll, absolutely loads. Okay, and that can go away. It ties nice bows as well. So there's our panel, and again I'm going to stick this straight to the card base because I'm not going to do anything else with it. Looks like it's slightly above centre there, so we'll put it that way round, and we'll just use some seal for that as well. It's quite thin, this trim, so there's no bulk as such to try and accommodate with dimensionals or anything, so we'll just go with some seal on that, and again just try and get those borders as even as you can, like so. Okay, so the card base is all done, ready for our trees. Pop those to one side. So as I indicated, I'm going to do different colours. So I've already prepared a couple of these and done the die cutting because, you know, die cutting's die cutting. So lots of videos where I show die cutting. So just roll back in the history if you've never come across this before. So I've already done 2 of these. Balmy blue with the white sort of snowflake overlay. Okay, so we've got 2 of those done already, but I just wanted to show you my trick for adhering these very fine, sorry, I've got hair, little dander all over the desk for some reason, for sticking these down. So I'm going to bring in one of these silicone craft sheets. Okay, you might see that there's some shiny stuff on there. That is dried up glue. It just, it's probably not quite dry yet because I've only just done those ones. But when it dries completely, you can just rub it off, either with your finger because it's fun, or like a glue eraser, or even just a white eraser will get it off. Okay. And then this is a really high-tech piece of equipment, which is a clothes peg and a piece of sponge. Okay, this piece of sponge is eons old. I basically keep using it until it disintegrates, but the glue kind of makes it firm, if you like. It goes all dry and crusty, so it hasn't disintegrated yet. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the glue onto the silicone craft sheet. Like I say, it dries and it'll be able to peel it all off. Okay. And then I'm going to use my high-tech tool here just to pounce a bit of that glue onto this die cut. Okay, so you're going to have to be a little careful. As long as you don't pull it too much, it won't stretch out of shape. Just be a little delicate. It's sticky after all. It's going to try and cling to that. Okay. Alright, so now that's covered in a very, very thin layer of our wonderful Tombow glue, which is super sticky. So that's just going to go to one side. That will dry on that mat and we can peel it off at another time. I don't wash out the sponge, I just let it dry, go crusty, ready to use again. Don't use it tons anymore. I used to use it a lot. It kind of depends on what you're doing, really, to be honest. And then I found the easiest thing was to start lining it up from the top, making sure that that's all lined up. Because it's such a thin layer of glue, it will bond and dry very quickly. So just finagle that, because you have distorted it a little bit while you're applying your glue, and the cardstock moves a bit anyway. Okay, it is very thin. So just get it all nice and lined up, press it down, Might have missed a bit of glue on this bit, but it doesn't matter. I'll put that one towards the back so that it's all figgled. So there we go. That's how I fiddle about with the little delicate die cuts. Okay. The other option is you could use like the die cut sticky sheets, run that through, and then you end up with like a sticker. But I sometimes find that that's a bit too sticky and a little difficult to handle. But if you like that and you use it, then go ahead. So there's a kind of decision really to be made in terms of how we decorate these. What I did on my original card, you see, was I layered the trees on and then decided to decorate them. But you can kind of end up in a situation where you might want to sort of make it look a little bit more natural by having things tucked in. So I think this time round I might decorate my trees and then put them on, and if things get covered, things get covered, right? So again, what I've done ahead of time is I've already die cut a whole heap of these little baubles. Okay, the die actually cuts 3 at a time, which is kind of cool. Okay, so at least it means it's only, you know, 4 or 5 passes through your die cut machine rather than 15. Yeah, so that's very useful. They're in this little cluster of 3, but they it acts as one die but cuts them all individually, like so. Okay, can't lose that. Let's put it back on the magnet before I lose it. Okay, so yes. Fiddly little things. Okay, so this is not going to be everyone's bag. Okay, so if you don't want to do this step, you don't have to do this step, but obviously I'm going to just show you an option. Just trying to sort of put them into little piles. Ooh. So now I've got an even number, putting them right way up. So I think I cut 5 for each, but you know, you may not necessarily use them all. Okay, and I'm going to use my take your pick tool, which is going to help me pick those up to position them. It's got this little sort of putty end that's just tacky, if you like. Okay, ideally you need 2 of these, because what I did find was when you're trying to put it down, some of them stuck, but some of them just needed a bit of help being pressed down. So I've actually got my stylus from my Simply Scored board here, which is going to help me just make sure that they stick down and come off the tool. Okay, alright. So my other tip is that if you want to do this reasonably quickly, my tip would be to place your beads of glue. Oh, this glue is running out actually. Place your beads of glue where you want them, rather than gluing each one individually. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, and then we can just, and you do want a decent bead of glue to make sure that they get into contact, because there's lots of texture with the die cut over the top. A bead of glue also means they might stand a little proud rather than being completely flat on the tree itself, which again can look good. And also, if you don't want to use this sticky pickup tool thing, you could use some tweezers if you find that helpful. Okay, and now obviously they are going to be very loose until they dry completely, so you're going to have to put those to one side to make sure that they adhere. Okay, so as you can see, it's quite quick to do that. You know, your glue's not going to dry instantaneously, so I'm actually going to do both of these now. Just thinking that this one's going to end up on the right hand side, so I've put my blobs more to the right. This one's going to be more to the left. Just want to make sure this glued. I'm hoping this glue doesn't tank out on me. Oh man, can you believe it? Right, oh, there we go. And then I'll pop another one in that corner there. I do store my glue sort of nozzle down, if you like, as well, to try and make sure I get the most out of it. So that blob's a little bit big, but it's fine. So what you don't want to do is squish it too hard and end up with that glue oozing out. You can get it off with a glue eraser thing. But because you've got these very delicate dies and that, you don't want to be accidentally pulling that and damaging it. So just trying to be a little careful with that. And I say that looks a bit odd because I've put them down the left hand side, but that's more to make sure that they don't get covered up too much. Okay, and then we can do this one, and of course this is going to take a little time to dry, so we'll have to just give those 5 minutes, and then we'll come back and just finish it off. Oh, actually, do you know what? No, I'm lying to you. Let's do the embossing and see whether they are dry enough once we've done that. Because that one, you know, doesn't take too long for them to be what I would say touch dry, you know. So they may not be solid, but they might be good enough to handle and put on the card. Okay, that makes sense. Super. Right, let's pop those away. Oh, where's my lid for that? There it is. Okay, right, so let's just shuffle those to the back of the desk there, so that they can sit nicely. So decisions then, guys. Am I going to heat emboss? I think the heat embossing might look it'll be brighter, won't it, on the darker cardstock, I think, rather than using the complementary cardstock. I think that would look nice. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this scrap of Misty Moonlight that we had left over from when we were cutting our layers and things for the embossing elements, I think. So let's grab our bits of that. So silver embossing powder is what we're going to use. This is the new one that Stampin' Up supply now. They have the Wow powders. So we've got 2 sets of 3. Got the basics, which are clear, white and black, and then you've got metallics, so gold, silver and copper. So in your little additions kit you'll get a tidy tray, a brush, some reversible tweezers, which are awesome, and they've got Teflon tips so that they don't melt and they keep your fingers safe. And you get one of these little dust bag thingies. Don't get Versamark, just the toolkit. Okay, so the Dust Buddy bag helps remove fingerprints and sticky bits and stuff that might pick up powder where you don't want it. So you want to prep your cardstock with that. I do brush off a little bit of the excess with my handy dandy brush. Okay, I'm going to get my powder open and ready to go. Looks very dull in the pot, but you know, the magic happens when you heat it up. So here's our Oh Christmas Tree sentiment. So I'm getting that nice and well inked up with that Versamark. Because you kind of only really have one shot at this, really, to make sure it's inked up. You can't really restamp it. Turn it over, I guess. So we're going to cut it out. So I'm just going to pop that down and press firmly, make sure that all that ink transfers, and I think you can pop probably see that. This is another option if you want to do like tone on tone stamping. You don't have to use Misty Moonlight ink. You could go for something more subtle and use Versamark. That is actually what it's intended for. It's a watermark ink pad. But because it is sticky, it tends to be used most of the time for heat embossing. So we'll pop that powder on top, and like I say, it's all very dull until we do the magic step of heating that up. So this tray just allows you to funnel that back into the pot so that we don't have any accidents with that. And I tend to keep everything all in the tray, so everything will go away with that, so I can just grab it and stuff. Okay, so pop that to one side. Now I've got plenty of room to hold this in my fingers, but if this was a smaller piece of card, I could grab that and heat that up, no problem whatsoever. Okay, but I think we're good with using our fingers on this bit. So going to bring in the heat tool now. You want to emboss on the hottest heat setting. Most heat tools have got 2 heat settings, so use the number 2 for your heat embossing. This is going to be loud. I will warm the back of the cardstock and the front, and then probably just finish it off by running along the back. I think you get a bit better, smoother result when you do that. Okay, you try it. Oops, sorry, click the switch before I was ready. The grief. Try it out. See what you think. If your embossing is really going flat, you're overheating it. I do think as well, again, there's differences of opinion, but I do have some embossing powders that seem to have almost gone off. They don't seem to just shine no matter what you do. So if that's the case, you might find that, you know, just an old embossing powder and you need to replace it. Right, I'm going to put it on now. So if you don't like the noise, obviously just mute your screens, okay, your video, and let's get this cracking. Okay. Okay, so hopefully you saw that I literally left that heat on just long enough to get that to go, okay, and then turned it off. Alright, okay, look how shimmery shiny that is, isn't that lovely? Okay, love heat embossing, love it. Less of a fan of fussy cutting, but you know, hey ho, sometimes it's just got to be done. Right, so let's lop off this bit that's going to get in the way. That's a nice little scrap for some up. Chuck that in the box. So, yeah, fussy cutting's not everyone's jam. If you want to use a label die, punch, whatever you've got instead, then obviously that's your choice. So, but this is a nice little option to do. And of course the tips here are that you move the cardstock and not your wrist, otherwise that's going to be awkward and painful. So just twirling the card around inside the blades there. Okay, trying to keep an even-ish she says border around the actual lettering itself. Okay, I say it's one of those things that basically you either love it or you hate it, really, to be honest. And obviously some things are easier to cut out than others. So, but this technique of moving the paper rather than the scissors is the is the best tip ever, really. Once you've kind of mastered that bit, it does get easier. It does get easier. I say there are people who do this all the time, and it just looks so amazing. That's obviously nice and straight, so we'll just lop that off there. And then I want to take that up. These snips as well are sharp all the way to the point, so you can be really, really precise with them. A lot of other scissors aren't, especially like sort of cheaper, what I would call kitchen scissors. You know, you get them in, you know, 3 for £1 down at you know, those retailers that sell all that kind of stuff. So there we go, that's the fussy cut out. Doesn't take too long. And these can go in the recycle bin. Okay, right, so what do we reckon? Do we think these are dry enough to finagle? Yeah, seems to be okay. Which one did I do last? This one? Yeah, right, okay, let's go with it, just be careful. Okay, right. So all we need to do now is get these stuck down. Dimensionals is going to be the way to go on this one, I would say, because that's going to enable us to make sure that we got a good contact with the background card. You don't want it to sort of stick here because it's going to be loose. Okay, so and I think I'm going to use mini dimensionals for this. So I think what we can do is we can pop a couple at the bottom and a couple and one at the top. Okay, and if you want to, you can pop one onto your card base in a convenient place, so that you've got that extra bit in the middle and you've got no fear of it interfering. And again, we'll be going for, rather than have them in a line, I'm going to sort of try and stagger them a little bit. So this one's going to go off to the right and up a bit, somewhere there, which also means there's room for the sentiment a little bit, and it fills the card. Okay, so that middle one that I put in there is going to catch that centre bit, no problem. Okay, we'll do similar on this side, but maybe a bit closer in, so let me maybe pop that one about there. So again, we can pop those on there. And this one's going to go a touch lower. Take the thingy off that. Touch lower. And off to the left a little bit. Fat fingers are in the way, so let me just go there, I think. And again, that's going to catch that, and that's going to catch there. Okay, looks nice with the two, but I don't know, I find even numbers a little bit weird sometimes. So I've done exactly what I did with my other ones, because these are bigger trees as well, right? So I often do this with these kinds of layouts, where I end up with everything looking like it's too low on the card. It happens, it happens. But it's fine, I'll just go with it. So just checking I've got room to have a dimensional right at the top and the bottom there. Again, we've probably got space for one to sneak in there. This one's going to have to go right to the top. And then these two down there. I don't need a lot of these, they're really quite strong. So as long as it's enough to secure it, should be just grand. that missed the little bin that I've got on my desk. Okay, so he's going to go somewhere around there. And I think the bauble placings actually worked out really well. We've got this one that's sort of, you know, just peeking out, and it looks kind of natural, if you like, that positioning would have been like that. Okay, so I think that looks cool. Looks cool. And then this guy's going to finish it off by sitting just here and having that little pop of colour there. Okay, so we'll pop some glue behind that and stick it flat, and then we just need some support under this little bit. Okay, and if I remember rightly, this worked well with some stacked dimensionals, and actually I used stacked dimensionals on this one as well, but I think we'll pop, and what I mean by that is we'll do double thickness. So on this little bit that's hanging off the side here, I'm going to do one layer and then a second layer, like so, and then we'll just try that for size, because that's going to sit nice and flat, and then the glue's going to catch it across there, and that's going to sit beautifully rather than looking like it's all wibbly wobbly. That's a technical term. And then see if we've got any last bits of glue in this. Yeah, just about. So that's going to catch on the texture from the trees. And that dimensional, those stacked dimensionals are going to keep it nice and flat and level. Awesome. Okay. You could add some gems and stuff, but I'm not gonna. We've got the silver coming through, and I don't think it needs it with the baubles on and everything else as well. So that's the finished card for this one, using the blues and purples and that sort of frosty look, something a bit more traditional, with the red and green. This one using gold accents, this one using silver accents. So there you go, 2 options for the same design or thereabouts. So yeah, hope that's given you some ideas on how to use the Decorative Trees bundle. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's a bit of a longer video. Tried to sort of cut out the bits that were a bit repetitive, but hopefully that's been useful. Do stay safe, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.